So Grand Champion at the Summernats. This is something I've always wanted to do. I've made a video this time that actually shows you the complexity and how hard it is to win this major sword, and the biggest thing that I believe at Summernats. Obviously I've got a guy here today that might agree or disagree, because I've got a couple of people today. I've got my mate Dale Walton that's going to help out as usual, but I've also asked Phil Kurgene to come in. How are you, Phil?
Yeah, I'm good, mate.
That's good. Mate, so I've asked Phil to come in because he normally works with me on a lot of these top-end show cars like the one we're looking at there in Forged, but he's also a burnout guy, and he's had some involvement with one of the cars that's going to be a major player in what we're going to look at today. So the cars here now, I've got those, the video footage I did for our top 60 haul video, and we all know about Forged and just how good a car that is. This car here, Phil, you're saying this has got a West End engine in it?
Yeah, I didn't know until after the results obviously were known, but yeah, John was saying, yeah, it was one of the customers that Sam built about 4 years ago, I think, so yeah. So
a really nice car, and it's making around 800, and it picked up a judge's choice. Super clean, tidy. You can see that the engine bay's been done. Must have been just outside the 20, I reckon, and it'll be good to see how that runs. Super clean Camaro. So this is David. It's got a 540 big block in it. It was a 5-year resto, all done at home. Super clean car. That's up your alley, Dale Walton, that one.
It is, and I just noticed Fuzz in the background. Good to see Fuzz again.
Yeah, Fuzz was hanging about. He's got a new knee now.
Oh, bionic man.
Exactly right. Look how clean that is. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through the hall, and then we're going to get to see all these cars down on the track. So it's funny, all three of those that we can see in the picture there at the moment were all part of the 13 that went down. Some of these cars I look at and I think they probably weren't thinking they're going to get in the hall because they've got no stands. So this one and the Monaro behind it, so they're just sitting there. And I mean, when you see how many people are in that hall, it's quite frightening to imagine having a car in there without some ropes around it.
Yeah, a lot of the cars, they don't have stands. They don't think of that when they're building the car. They sort of build the car and then they get it done by the deadline and then
turn up and it's like, oh wow, yeah.
Too late.
So this one, the BOSSXE, that's Morris Markovic, so another bigger horsepower, 800 horsepower Windsor from ProFlow, and that was an unveil at 2020. I actually seen this last year going in through Scrutineer. I just drove in, went through Scrutineer and drove out again.
Cool.
Another really nice car, and I've featured this a couple of times. So 55 post, which is a 55, obviously, Belair Sedan from Darren Fosberg. He's an ex-Summernats jub from way back in the 80s and 90s. And it was interesting, he made a comment on my Facebook page that he went in the driving events, but the only time he's ever driven it's on his driveway. So he had a bit of excitement, I think, when we see what happens when you get to the driving events. So the little Datto, so Clayton Gow, and once again I've did a little bit of homework this time, Dale. So apparently as kids they always dreamt of building a car that they could have a go at Grand Champion. So the car was in Superstars down at Motorx.
Right, yes.
And now here it is having a go at Grand Champ.
And you need sunglasses to look at that paintwork.
Man,
that's
it's bright. Oh, it's so bright.
The engine's squeezed in there too. Very tight.
Power to weight.
A lot of
crazy.
A lot of power, no weight.
So the One Tonner, Scott Healy, was an unveil last year, and it did go through a major rebuild. It used to be a red One Tonner some time back. So I just did a bit of stalking on the Facebook pages to get a bit of info. So plenty of rubber, and I noticed on there he said that he would like to see the street drags at Summernats, so he must like to give it a bit of a run, so we'll see how he goes. So if you've watched the top 60, you see I was paying out Adrian about cleaning his car on Saturday morning, but unfortunately someone must have dropped a slushie right next to the car and it splashed up the side of the car, so he was cleaning it up. But this is an absolutely beautiful car, but once again, very rarely driven, and he made a comment about, I put up the rules, you know, how the judging works and the points allocation, and he was saying that he took it out and was a bit sheepish, and I made the word that it was a little bit driving Miss Daisy. But you know, we all get on well and we all have a bit of a play. which are each other about what goes on. So this one's Mike Davidson's beautiful 54 Belair Sports Coupe. So MotorX, last year's Summernats, and then MotorX Superstar. I always say it was in the Super 7 because I reckon it comes 7th. Didn't quite make the 6th.
Yep, Blue Moon,
but stunning car, and he's pretty much done with the show scene with this vehicle now. He's chased it, and more than happy with the results that they have with that car.
His last hurrah,
pretty much,
so to speak.
So we'll see how he goes as well. So the green Camaro, I found a bit of info about this one on Street Machine magazine site. So if you want to see a bit more of it, there's was featured, and it's on their website. So it's big block, running E85, making 1,045, and it all came about because he had the car and he rotted the small block down at Candos in 2005.
He actually used to be a burnout car back in the day, about 20 years ago.
Yeah, so there you go. So he stuck it in the corner for a long time, and it wasn't until 2013 he dragged it back out again and did what you can see there now. So go and read all about that. The next one, Jeremy Guljas, I think how I will pronounce that. This one's come out of Automotive Creations Custom and Restorations. And as you can see, what we're looking at there, a lot of Ring Brothers products on it. And there's something unique about the engine. I think the engine in this is running a Harrop supercharger, and the guy that from Automotive Creations was telling me that the owner's seen that engine on the dyno somewhere that was the prototype for when they were doing that particular engine setup, and bought that engine, and that's the first Harrop blown, I think it's a Windsor.
Yeah, right.
So a bit of history there. The grey Monaro, that's Dave Neely, but I think it might be his partner's car because it's, what's the word? It's KELXHK, and I noticed that on their Facebook page that Kel's on there as well. And that's running a big block and the classic centre lines. And of course the car we're looking at here now, Phil was involved with, and that's Daniel Fenech, which was a Sam's old race car. So
yeah, so Daniel's actually Sam's cousin, so Sam always wanted Daniel to do the body work and stuff on it. It just took a long time to get there, and then after Sam's passing, basically sort of everyone got together and went, okay, let's do this. It was supposed to be last year, at Summernats last year, but yeah, it took a bit longer than we wanted. But
yeah, and we'll talk a bit about that because we'll have some time as we go along, because like most builds, it was like, let's sort of freshen the old race car, and then everybody put their best in, and it just kept snowballing. And
it gets out of hand, Howard, doesn't it?
And I noticed that's your stand, Phil, that it's on, as we talked about having stands.
Yeah, they're going to use it for the next sort of 12 months while they do. They weren't really going to do shows, but obviously with the success of getting Summernats awards and stuff.
Well, People's Choice, I mean, was the big one.
Good.
Yeah. So we'll hear a bit more about that as we go through. So we're now Sunday morning. Everyone's starting to get the cars down off the stands, getting organised to get them out to go into the driving events. And this is the first of a couple of the actual drivers' meetings. And I've been through this process quite a few times and been successful a couple of times, but I can tell you the stress is starting to build. So you can see here, it's like, okay, we need fuel. Do we want to run an air cleaner? Morning.
Hey, mate.
All ready for it?
All ready for it, mate.
Good luck, matey.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
So that's Mike. He's been around a long time. He's got a lot of toys, and I was only speaking to him yesterday, and the thing ran really rich down on the track. And I said to him, "Did you always run them air cleaners?" And they tuned it without them and then put them on, and they're the things that catch you out.
Especially in Canberra too, like Canberra being the altitude, things will run richer. So a lot of the burnout guys will take some fuel out of the cars. So even an aspirated car's blocking it up with the air cleaner, it's going to hurt.
Yeah, I'm paying him out again for cleaning his car, but he said he needed to clean the windows so he can see out of it. I think they were that dirty.
He's a good
But yeah, you're right, Phil. I mean, when I had the Pioneer Coupe, it had like an adjustable setting in it, and you could actually change it because you could tune it, you know, even in Broken Hill, and then bring it to Canberra, and they just don't run.
Yeah.
So they were running about 20 minutes late, I think, when we finally got to a point where they're going to leave. So it's nice to see them sitting on the ground and get a bit of a feel for what the cars are like and what they sound like.
I think that's one of the best things, like when you can actually hear these cars, because most of the time, especially for the first year or two, you don't get to hear them.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, everyone will say, oh, where's the Monaro and where's the Red Ute? Well, it's their first year and they've probably just got them finished, and they're going to do a couple of shows before they're going to go out and put the car through this whole process. And a lot of these cars have been around for a while. So you'll see in the driving events that the BOSSXE, he's obviously had the foot into that a few times before, but then behind him with Darren with that nice Chev, driven it up and down the driveway a couple of times, and that's it. So I can assure you, sitting in that car about to drive down there, even worried about whether you're going to get down there, let alone whether you're going to go on the event.
Yes, the seat's puckering. Is that what you're saying, Phil?
The puckering up moments, yeah. and you're doing it in front of a crowd too, so it's even just a little bit harder.
Yeah, well, there's some guys that didn't think at the start of the event that they're going to be at this stage.
It's a lot of guys, and I know it happened with Gary Myers when he built the twin-blown Mustang. I was involved with Gary with that build a little bit, and he made top judge and People's Choice, and they you've got to go in it. He said, it hasn't even got any water in it. So there's Gary and I in the hall, tipping water in the radiator. It had been started because it's on methanol, but it hadn't been, I think it was methanol, the 85 anyhow. It hadn't been driven at all. So in the end, we got it going, and Gary being going, and Gary had ran. But like now, these guys, they're all hyped up, and then the camera crew's going, hang on, stop there, I want to get a better photo.
One of the reasons a lot of these guys don't want to drive the cars too when they're new, people don't understand, like a lot of these also got coatings or polished or whatever, and that's the first thing that starts to go. So
yeah, even brakes, you know, like everything, everything's been lick-lollied up to look 100% on stand, and then you've got to take it out.
Yeah, without being disrespectful, they're built as a show car, not built as a race car and let's race it to hell with what it looks like.
yeah, that's right.
They're getting it to look as good as it can.
Yeah.
Well, that's a nice, pleasant surprise to see that going out, because it's a brand new car, but that won People's Choice, so that gives him a few extra points.
And then they put him on a dirt road, Howard.
So now, yeah, you get down to the burnout pad, and it's like, it's sort of bitumen, but there's a lot of dirt and a lot of dust. I mean, it's better than it used to be. We used to go out on the grass and run around out there, and I've got photos of the Pioneer Coupe with big plumes of bloody dust and stuff, because it's always dry down there.
Dry grass everywhere.
But at least there's no walls down there.
Well,
So I mean, we're at that point now, so the cars have been running a while, they're getting warmer, and the issue is always about, you know, is it going to start, is it going to run, how's it going to stop? And you're walking along, and then you'll see in a minute they'll actually come out and do another drivers meeting, so it just builds and builds. So it started at about 9 in the morning, and we're now probably about 10:30.
And we are talking about Canberra in summer.
It was hot, yeah, it was hot.
that was probably the hottest 4 days I've ever done there.
Yeah, it was pretty warm.
Tell you what, there's a lot in it.
Yes. I didn't count them on the
Not going to be able to call this one, I don't think.
No.
Really going to come down to who does a good drive.
That's when a lot of the engineering comes into it with these cars too. You know, like you know, you can talk about how good the car's built, but you don't find out how good they are until they do have to drive. You know, you've got to make sure the alternator's charging properly, and cooling system's working properly, and brakes are working properly. Like, if that stuff don't work, well.
And I mean, that's normally the gremlin. So with Mike's 54 last year, they drove it out of the hall, turned it off, turned it back on, and the fuel pump died.
Yeah.
And they ended up hot wiring the fuel pump, and then that caused some sort of problem with thermos, and it just snowballs. But you don't know because you haven't either used it, or even if you have used it, Summernats. It just creates.
Not for long enough.
Yeah.
Not for long enough.
Yeah, it just creates dramas.
You
for
know
some
firsthand, Howard, when you were doing driving events in the past, you had a gremlin with fuel and etc.
There's always something.
Well, Fuzz, this is where it all happens, eh? I'm a bit nervous because I know what it's like to sit out there. I've done it a few times, and I mean, you've had sometimes some of these people it's 10 years to get to this point. Some 3 to 5 maybe.
Yep.
And you've done everything you can do, and normally something's going wrong. It's not too hot today, which is good. So they're all sitting there now, and I can tell you now, I guess I can say it on YouTube, they're shooting bricks.
Yeah, they cut the air with a knife there.
Because it all comes down to this. You don't have to win the driving events, but you definitely can't come last.
Yeah.
So People's Choice is out there, so he's in front points-wise.
Yep.
Well, not in front, because he's out of the 60, but he's got more than the others, some of the others. So top 10 get more points than top 20, top 20 get more than top 60, plus your people's choice, and how you go in the events.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And as you can see, you never get to test your car with that much rubber on the ground.
No, that's what they were
So-
talking to some boys the other day. They said it's pretty sticky.
Yeah, so if you go and find a car park or a lot somewhere, your mate's got a bit of bitumen and you go and do your drive test.
Yeah,
When you come out here, the thing just wants to stall off the line because you've got nothing, and I've done that side.
yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see. So I'm going to turn this off and we'll go around here and get a spot. I might even stay here actually. And we'll get some footage, see how they go. Righto, so that's the little spiel with me and Fuzz there. So back on the panel here with the boys, so I did a bit of homework as I do. So 4 points for top 60, 6 points if you're in the 20 and 10 points if you're in the top 10. And then the People's Choice winner gets 7, but the second place gets 6, and then 5 and 4. And everyone that gets more than 10 votes gets 4 points. So you can be, if you don't get your 10 votes, which I'd be very surprised, you're a long way off. But if you're in that top one, you've got a chance. So here we go. So we're running the cars now. So everyone gets 2 runs, but Phil was just saying he didn't realise you've got to back up and do the second run straight away. So there's no tyre pressure changes or thinking about what you're doing. It's just back it up and run it again. He wasn't being shy, was he?
We got a stand on it, I suppose, but yeah, it sounded pretty tidy.
Another good run.
Well, it's 600 cuber.
So it
It should go.
so it should sound all right.
Here we go, so 800 horsepower.
So, boys, is this top? I know it's timed, but you get a green light or you go when you're ready?
Good question, and I asked that every time I've ever was run it, but they had a lot of time sensors there this year, like little gadgets. So I'd say it was the light's ready to go, but it's timed,
Yep.
time beam at the start.
Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm not sure if it's green light and you got to leave on the green light like a drag strip.
He's got a heavy right foot, hasn't he?
He's got some.
Just having fun.
So a 540 big block, this one.
Might as well put a show.
That's something you do, Phil, I reckon.
Might as well put a show on where you can have some fun, eh?
So they give you the choice, the two, whether you want them left or right lane.
I think a few years back in the go away, they were side by side.
I think the normal go-woe is side by side.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Judging by the way some of these boys go sideways, probably good they went single.
There's one of them I think kicks out on him at the minute.
He may have backed off a little early there,
Yeah,
Howard.
it's hard to stay in it. It really is.
It's one thing to keep it straight, but even when you go up to the end and you're trying to hit the brakes hard, something locks up and it can steer towards a wall pretty quickly. Accidents happen.
Yeah, the first couple of years with the Pioneer Cooper didn't do really well. We actually went to a big car park and marked out and worked out how long to stay in it, because it's really hard, especially with all the barriers. You think you're there, you're nowhere near it.
Yeah.
I think he's driven that one a bit and knows where he's got. I always find it interesting. Like all the judges are there. They're all got the phones out. You know, they're into this. They love the whole thing. It's not a job for them. It's a. See the black smoke coming out of the 54. Still didn't go bad, but
longer that time, yeah.
Yes, I'd get nervy if I put my foot on that right pedal too.
That wall gets big real quick, doesn't it, Bill? Bill knows all about that. He's tagged it a few times over the years.
Yeah, I've been friendly with it. Here and there.
So you did all right this year, Phil. You got a second in the main comp.
Everything went right. Everything went right this year for once. So it'll be every second year I go all right. The other ones will catch fire and take the wall.
This thing's looking up all right. Oh, that's the one that went sideways. He missed the gear then.
Manual.
Missed it.
That's probably one of the things that's different to this too. Like a lot of the cars in the manual, it's not as easy to get down there.
Yeah. Another big block.
It's a very simple car, but very clean, isn't it? Like
Oh, yeah.
Just
Hasn't been driven for a long, long time.
He knows how to go quick in a straight line, though, by the looks of things.
Well, I think the advantage he has is he locked them up and stopped it right on the line. It's the perfect scenario.
yeah. So before we went out, because I wasn't actually at any of these driving events, so before we went out, I actually said to him, "Pump the tyres up a bit."
Here we have the next gen Ford Everest 4WD2, equipped with Lovell's premium touring suspension kit, which gives you a fully compliant 3,500 kilogram GVM upgrade. We also offer our premium Platinum Series kit, which offers 3,700 kilogram GVM upgrade. The touring system also increases the total GCM to 7,000 kilograms, and the Platinum Series system increases the total GCM to 7,200 kilograms, which means you'll maintain your full 3,500 kilogram towing capacity. Your axle capacities are also revised accordingly. The kit also features Lovell's engineered and rated upper control arms. Truly a powerful setup, built for heavy duty towing and serious touring.
Well, thanks, Lovels. Without them, we wouldn't get all over the country. We're laughing here because I was doing the commentary over the top of poor old Mike on that one. But anyhow, we're back to it. So another driver's walk, and they've put some bollards and stuff in. So now we're going to do the Motorkhana. And it's interesting that I think it's different to what it was last year, because Phil and I were talking about our mate Ben with the XY was in it last year and managed to go back to front, I think, didn't he, through the...
Yeah, he made his own course. He went, I'm going this way, but and still seemed to nail it.
So here's the big dog. So he's tried the flick spin, he's backed it up for another go, and most people know what happened after that. And as you can see there, I've made the decision to not run that footage. I don't think we need to see it. Out of respect to everybody, because I can tell you the feeling on, and I'm goosebumping up now, because when that happened, it was like we're standing at a bloody funeral. It was unbelievably tense. Took quite some time to get it off, and then all these other poor buggers now had to come out and do their event. So 12 more to go, and that's just changed the whole equation.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realise that, like, even though it wasn't looks superficial on a car like these, they're not superficial damage. It goes through the whole body of the car because everything's welded together and seam welded. And
yeah, they've got some looking and thinking to do.
Oh yeah.
So my understanding is they were all told not to try the flick spin because they don't need any more dramas. But I mean, what they're doing now is all you need to do.
I think the whole flick spin thing was what Joe Bauer done with that 3,000 horsepower thing last year. It was just incredible to watch. You know, like I was there to see that one, but yeah.
Yeah, and I mean to do that, and a lot of these guys are running a lot of tyre, and you can have 1,000 horsepower, but it's a lot of tyre and a lot of grip, and you need to have done that a lot of times to be able to get away with it.
You have to really stand on it and commit to it. Like
yeah.
No half chances.
There's Miss Daisy again, Howard.
Yeah, I better be safe and sorry, I suppose.
Mate, I would do the same thing, Darren. 100%.
So good to see Darren Fosberg back out, because it's been he's been there at an HG there at like Summernats 2 or something. So.
There's that turning circle, Phil.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a very low car too, so obviously the turning circle gets hurt by that. You know what I mean? Like, Maybe airbags lifted up a bit.
And I think I know what he's saying.
Oh, bugger.
Yeah.
Fronts up.
Example B of attempted flick spin. Oh!
Yeah, it's not as easy when you...
No, there's a lot of puckering going on.
That's it.
Goes straight, this thing.
Oh, don't flick it.
Yes, you're right, Howard. Don't flick it.
Look at that. Round it went straight out. I mean, that, and if you look at that, how quick that was.
And he's only got skinny front tyres too.
Yeah, I know. I was very surprised how quick it went around. And this guy drives it every day. By the look at that.
It shows.
He knew exactly where that was going to go.
The handle, drove, done everything. Really. How many times did they get to do the slalom? Was it
Just the once.
Just the once, okay.
I've always thought it was twice, but maybe with the downtime.
I know last year they did do it twice.
Yeah, I'd say with the downtime with the tilt train, all they just went once. Oh yeah.
It's like a cruise ship. It takes a while to spin it around.
Got the front runners, but. No. Round.
I was pushing him, but I got around. He loves that pedal.
Oh, just fucking, I don't know if they get them made. Is it just on trophy metal or is it like metal? Metal, okay.
Oh, you heard that first.
I heard that.
You heard
little,
that first.
Little side comment for a Ford.
You probably had it.
Not bad for a Ford.
Righto, so that's all the events. So now the thing is you're sitting there thinking, right, how did they go? Who did well? What points? Who's in the 10? Who's in the 20? And what we've got now is they picked 10 out of the 13, and we're looking at, I think they call it the Super 7 nowadays. So these are the 7, and then we get the 3 finalists coming out from behind. So
that's the 7, and then there'll be 3 more. So none of them.
So they're the Super 7, which is like the 7 of the top 10.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So there's 3 guys at the back going.
Going,
okay,
yeah, we're still in it.
Yeah, we're still going.
So we trimmed a lot of that out because they stand there and talk about all the cars, but we didn't want to do that. So we've now got 3, and I find it really interesting that the 3 we've got are all out of the 60. So now we're pretty much down to, well, they all started with the same points. The Torana's got People's Choice, and the others might have had some. So it's all down to the driving events.
One of the cool things that Liam from Street Machine told me was, and I never picked it up on it at first, it was 3 Aussie built cars too.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
It's, a couple of Holdens and a Ford, like
Yep.
no Camaros, no Corvettes, no Mustangs. It's like, it's cool.
So now you're standing there and you're thinking, how did he go?
Yeah.
How am I sitting?
You're asking your mate, did he go all right in the motoring event? Did he?
Well, I'd actually been down near the PPG tank getting ready for the burnout comp, and John actually had my pants and helmet to do the driving events because he didn't bring it in because he wasn't planning on doing it.
Oh, so he borrowed your gear?
Yeah, so he borrowed my gear, and then I was getting ready, and then they've gone, oh, we've made the top 3 or whatever, get down here. So I'm trying to get down there because I hadn't seen any of the driving events, so I didn't even know what the hell was going on at the time.
And there's a bit of a backstory to that too, wasn't there, Phil? That you hopped in no cash to.
Yeah, jumped with my other mates doing like a drag car, like it's another station wagon, but yeah, jumped in that and he got warned for going too fast.
He got pulled over for going too fast.
On the way down, and I was sort of like trying to explain to the security guard, like, hey, you're holding us up even more, can you let us go, sort of thing, but yeah.
Are you a bit like
So here
Fuzz?
we
You
go.
don't run, Phil.
I thought he was about to do the announcement, but they like to drag it out a bit. So at this point, you've now got up there and you're in the back with the rest of the family and the builders.
Yeah, everyone was like in the back corner sort of thing. Everyone got told to sort of all the families and stuff. So we're hanging out under the little white tent at the back there, trying to stay out of the sun because it was still bloody
Oh,
hot.
man,
Even,
it's hot,
even
wasn't
that
it?
time in the morning was hot already. So everyone's just nervously waiting now for the announcements.
They call this padding, don't they, Howard? Padding it out.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. I don't know what they're waiting for, but yeah, they do. So I've just decided I'm going to go out there now. I've bitten the bullet. I'm going to do a run and get out and get a bit closer.
This is a very special moment of Summernats, isn't it, Owen?
It's a really, really special moment, and like you said there with the money, but guess what? Money can't buy that. It's a passion for these guys.
So Jay Ben's there on the right with the flannel on, even though it's hot.
I think that's welded onto him, Howard.
It doesn't come off very often.
Right now, so the winner at the Street Machine Summernats 37 Grand Champion down here on the Castle Rod Shop Burnout Pad is indeed the LJ Torana.
So tell us a bit about the emotion that was going on in the back in the corner then, Phil.
Oh, well, everyone's just blown out, like, you know, hugs and that and whatever, and just sort of freaking a bit. And then they're saying, like, get out there, boys. Like, it's like, okay, shit, we better get out there. So yeah, it was pretty incredible, man. Like, considering he wasn't even going to go into the driving events, you know. But when I found, once we won People's Choice, it was like, hey, you got a chance, you know, might as well go give it a shake.
You got to do it, and I mean, you don't know what's going to happen, and every year some of the top contenders, you know, trip over in one way or another, whether they don't start, they don't run. I've been through that many times with our builds, that just things go wrong.
That's right. It's no different to a burnout in the burnout comp. Everything's got to go right. Everything's got to be spot on, and the moons have got to align, and just get that bit of luck your way, I suppose. Definitely doesn't come easy.
And as the photo shows there, how it's a whole crew. It's not one person.
Yeah, like even earlier in the weekend when the unveil was there, like Sam's wife was there and his parents and stuff. So it was a pretty emotional weekend. So this just topped it off. It was just pretty crazy, really.
There he is, the Fuzzman. So who's out there, mate? You've obviously got. So Daniel's Sane's cousin.
Daniel, Sam's cousin, yeah. Obviously John, Sam's son. Frank, Sam's brother. So he's the one that wired the car and all that sort of stuff. A couple of nephews that done body work and stuff and that. By this time, a lot of the guys had actually headed home already. So I think they were. Yeah, if they knew they were going to be in the running for this, they would have been there. But
yeah.
Did I see you wiping a tear out of your eyes there?
Yeah, there was a few tears shed over the weekend, trust me.
That's good to see, mate.
So it was pretty awesome.
So we did all that Friday night. What was the night? Was the
unveils were Thursday night.
The Thursday night, and then the People's Choice.
Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, so Saturday night. So Phil and I stay at the same motel down at Canberra and have done for many, many years. And I wanted him to come here now for people to understand that this is just not about someone with a big bucket of money that builds a car. Most of these builds have got some sort of backstory. You know, whether it's you rot out at one and it takes 10 years to get around to rebuilding it, you end up out there. The little Dado Ute, you know, I read on their page that they only ever dreamt of being able to run for Grand Champion. They're not trying to win Grand Champion, they want to be out there.
Be a part of it.
And I think that's what our sport's all about and what it's all about. There are big dollar cars out there, don't get me wrong, but I mean, what I wanted to do with this particular one when it turned out as it is to get this footage, because what the guys, the main players, the main media guys, they're focusing in on the presentation. But to me, it's all about the people, whether it's friends, family, that actually contribute so much to actually achieve Grand Champion. And guys like Fitzy won a lot because he's a good driver and he's a good builder, but there's so many good stories, backstories with so many of the cars over the 37 years of Summernats. And this is probably one of the better ones.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that went into the cars, people don't see. You know, it might not be that $1 million show car that people expect to see. You know, and I did, since all this went down, like you mentioned earlier about the red Ute and the silver Monaro. You know, the brilliant cars. They cleaned up most of the awards, but they were unveiled cars, first time out, planning to do the show scene for the next year or two. So next year or the year after, they'll go for Grand Champion, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and I mean, and the issue is though, is that the same issues happen, is that they either don't run or they have a problem. So I grabbed that one that's got the shirts and all on the boys as well. So a great finish, and of course it was 2 years since Sam's passing, and difficult time for everybody, but in some way this just helps a little bit to heal those wounds, and I'm sure at some point we'll see this car out on the track.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know.
You're not sure about that one?
I don't know. I think now it's just turned out too good.
Too good?
They, because there's a lot of stories that goes into it, but they had to re-straighten the front chassis rails because the front chassis rails had lifted.
These benches on
25 mil.
stands.
Yeah, and they had to bring them back down and then put a new front on it. They've done new seals, so yeah, I think it might be just a really nice street car now.
Yeah.
I know they're planning now to do MotorX, and
oh yeah, well, that'll be good.
And
I mean, I pretty sure I shared on Astle Design all the build shots for this. Some of the painter, I think, put up like 50 odd photos. This car is not just a race car with a pretty paint job. This thing's been built properly inside and out.
Well, they wouldn't have made it to this point if it wasn't.
No,
So credit everyone involved.
A really cool build, and I'm sure people will love to see that down at MotorX and check it out. So thanks guys for coming in. We're on a morning today rather than a night time. Dale's late start at Drummond Golf, and Phil's got work to do probably back at home, but it was the time we could get together so we could get it up. And now the expectation was building to what he was going to do when he drove out, and I'll leave you to have a look at that when that happens in a minute. So a lot of this would be a blur, so hopefully the family will get this footage and be able to see what goes on, because by the time you're finished and you get out the other end, it's like, what just happened?
yeah, I think John sort of, even though it was all going down, it was a bit surreal. So I think it probably wouldn't have really hit home until a couple of days after they got back and went, oh, wow, what just happened? Like, it's crazy. I guarantee he was tempted to let one.
I'm sure he did. So our Summernats 37 Grand Champion. Well, thanks guys. If you enjoyed what you're watching, don't forget to subscribe.
Hit the like button.
And if you've got questions, I'll get Phil on the job if you want to know a bit more about the car or anything else that happened. And thanks for joining us, and bye for now.
See you soon.